Hey, welcome to Natural Balance Masterclass. Uh, so prior to the recording, there was change happening that you didn't see, but if you were here prior to the recording, you actually did see it. Welcome, Zan. Um, Welcome, Joseph. Um, it's actually so perfect how this unfolded in the beginning, which was rather imperfectly. Uh, the main camera that we're typically using uh, is um, currently being worked on, and so we're using a different camera, which is a change from how initially we thought it was going to look like. And welcome to a conversation of transition. Welcome to a conversation of change. And our relationship to change happening. Uh, so my name is Neal. I think everybody that's here, you've met me. Now, Neal's my name, but Neal's actually not who I am. Who I am is multi-dimensional. I'm an infinite being that's expressing through a human body. And so I'm here, including Neal, but coming from a place that transcends Neal. Neal is an egoic construct. Neal exists in language. But Neal, in the truth, is something that is, there's something that is larger than Neal. And that larger thing includes all of the egoic constructs. It includes all of the identities. And when I can come from a place that's transcendent of my name, that's transcendent of my identity, that's transcendent of my programming, which includes my experience, it includes my opinions, it includes my perceptions, and fourthly, it includes my expectations. When I let go of that, something else is available, something else is possible that is transcendent of the programming. And what's possible is a state of wonder, and it's a state of inquiry, and it's a state of observation. It's a state of being where I can look at reality and I can look at the programming and speak from a place that transcends it. And now, with that, me speaking to that, now, uh, how how do I relate to change? Um, that's a really, really, really general question. And I'm going to pause there and see who wants to share from that question.
Yeah, I guess it. I get the first thing that comes to mind is I guess it depends on what the change is. I know I can welcome it or I can rage against it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the welcoming it because when you've been stagnant for too long, almost any change feels like a good change.
Yes. Is there more for you right now, Joseph, or is that complete for now?
Uh, I was thinking, even if I don't change is going to change me. So I might as well learn to love it.
Received, yes.
Yeah, I like what you said, Joseph. I am thinking of change as an old friend, someone who's been in my life for a long time that maybe I haven't developed the close relationship that I'd like to develop with it. Like maybe we've fallen off in recent years. So it feels like there's a little bit of tension coming in when I'm thinking about change, a little bit of like, oh, I'm not sure I know you very well anymore, but I know that we were once great friends, so I trust that you're here in service of something greater, in service of me. And that's, I guess, that's how I relate to change. I believe it is in service of my greatest good. And I acknowledge and recognize that there is this part of me that's like, no, change. I want to be able to control what's happening. I want to be able to hold on to where I'm at and have certainty that you lose when you really give yourself in fully to change.
Received. Is that complete for you, Zan? So, great job just jumping in, unmuting yourself, and sharing. Joseph, you've been here before, so you're like really familiar with like how to interact in the beginning part of Natural Balance Masterclass. And but Zan, this is your first time, and I can see how just by me setting the intention, it already is being fulfilled. But even with that, I'm going to speak to what this looks like and how to share and how to be here. This is a feminine flow environment, and uh, when you are called to share, you can raise your virtual hand or your physical hand and wait to be called on, or you can unmute and speak. Uh, I invite interruptions. I don't believe interruptions exist in truth. Now, I do believe interruptions exist in reality, in word construction, but in truth, what I believe in is synchronicity and divine timing. And so, in this feminine portion of this master class, yeah, like I said, like I invite interruptions and I invite synchronicity. And so, with that being said, um, the I'll leave that. So that conversation's done. And now, with change, how I relate to change, like, is it is welcoming and it is fun and it is inspiring. And this is on a soul level. So this is on the level uh, where I can see that things are in alignment, where I can see that things like conversations, like what's appearing in my life physically, like resources are like in alignment to the degree where I begin to see that there's something moving things that isn't me. And then the me part of me, the me part of who I am, looks at that same exact change that my soul welcomes so much and just resists the shit out of it, and it's just like, like it's just, change, like how am I ever gonna like navigate this? Like one day I was like literally uh I had this and I'm speaking from my ego now. So like one day, like I had this construct, I had this idea of like who I was and this identity, and then during that day, what happened was that the identity that I had was like this identity of being someone, of being of having significance, of being someone that contributes and is contributing in a specific way, and then the specific way that I'm contributing is through growing plants, through growing food, through conversation. And then in that same exact day, what happened was that this construct, this identity, like just gets blown to pieces because of what? Change. Like change in how I see reality. Like the me part of who I am that resists change looks at reality and is like, fuck this. Like I don't like the me part of me in the past, and even in the recent past within the last month, has been like suicidal, and that's ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous in the sense that from an infinite perspective, from being a soul, uh, we actually, dying is one of the misperceptions that we've been programmed with. We actually don't die. We're actually, we are forever. And we are forever the observer. We are forever the I am. And uh, so there's, depending who is looking at the change is in how I see it, has determined my relationship to the change. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, that kind of makes me realize that my response was coming from that ego space, because that part of me that's fearing, that's resisting the change. When I take a step back, when I broaden my perspective, change feels expansive. It feels like an opportunity. It feels like flowing of everything that I need towards me. And so that just opened that opened it, like loosened a little bit of resistance in there and opened some stuff up for me.
Is that all, or is there more you're feeling called to share?
Oh, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was well when he mentioned like the suicidal part, I've been all my depression and anxiety's been coming up, and now I'm actually feeling it in my body in a way that I haven't really done before quite as much in my life. And sometimes I'm like, shit, I have to move through all this darkness. Like, God, just do you want to take my life back? Just like, ugh, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do. But it's like, I'm I'm not going anywhere. I know that I am. So what would be the point of pressing reset and starting over when I'm already on the journey and I'm just gonna keep going anyway?
So what's the answer for you? Why not just reset?
Um, Because I know uh, if I reset and I go to the other side and I look at that decision, I'm probably just gonna look at that and be like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go back now." Because that's one thing that I'm not, like I'm not a quitter. And I think I probably asked for something, a challenging life, and I definitely got that. So I get to play with it. Doesn't have to be a long crawl up a mountain. I get to have a playful adventure. So I can always pivot my focus and make it more of that.
Yeah, and in this case, it's almost like change is a very welcome friend because you're in this current state, but you know that change is inevitable, change is a part of life, so that wherever you are right now, if you just keep going, that things will change. You can't say how they're going to change or what's going to happen, but I feel like even the possibility and knowing that that is a possibility, that that change is inevitable, that that creates space for hope as well.
Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Neal. Nice to see you, Zan, Joseph. Well, I can believe I have something to say about change. It feels more like a mountain, uh, now somewhat leveling out with the invitation and the energy of transition here in this place. It is change. Oh, man. It's in the air, it's in the environment, and my body is changing every moment. Zan is saying our physical nature is all about change. And I have always had hope that I will be with my body for a period of time, and that resisting that, well, resisting the body is an invitation to illness and premature death. And going back to hope, as I always go back to hope, while I'm searching for faith, that I can find the flow with my body change and in the currents, the wonderful currents that are flowing here in this great space, to get on board with change that brings me wholeness.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, how I view change is that if there is a constant in all of creation, that constant is change. And I see that in time we are becoming more whole. In the truth, we already are whole, and we can observe ourselves becoming whole in time from the truth. And wholeness is a frequency. Uh, I when I look at creation, when I look at myself in the mirror, when I look at nature, when I look at like physical construction of homes and communities and uh, of ponds and of compost toilets and of greenhouses, when I look at these physical things, what I am seeing is energy. Yes, there's physicality, but when I look at it, I see energy from the lens that I'm looking from, and energy is always in motion, and uh, and it's always in transition, and uh, I'm gonna share how I see me and how I see you. We are energy, but we're also conduits and receivers and directors of energy. We are alchemizers of energy, and where we focus determines where we're directing energy. And um, with focus, there's focus is not looking. See, I can look at something and not be focused on it at all. And I can also focus on something and not be looking at it at all. And so focused conscious attention is an internal uh, laser that can be directed. For example, right now, imagine your left big toe and focus on it. And recognize that, hey, I can focus on my left big toe and not look at my left big toe. That is focused conscious attention. Now, how does that relate to change? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Uh, how that relates to change is with focused conscious attention. When change happens, when I resist it, I can focus on the resistance. I can like really dial in on it and be like, wow, like I'm like so much in resistance and I can feel it and just like be in the full on experience of resistance. And then what that promotes is feeling resistance and experiencing it. And if you want to have that experience, an easy way to do it is focus on just resisting stuff, and then follow through with it and go for it. But there's another way, and the other way is when the change happens. I can focus on the blessing. I can focus on the opportunity. I can focus on asking a question, high quality question, such as, how is this change divinely prepared to up-level me in life? And so focused conscious attention is something that I believe that is tied to our free will, and I'm grateful that we have it, but I think that it's important where the focus is coming from. Is it coming from an egoic standpoint of I want to focus on this thing to see more of this for significance or control or recognition or whatever the things that the ego does, whatever, um, or am I coming from infinity? Am I coming from divine nature? And from that, when my focus is coming from divine nature, uh, because where we're coming from is also what is being brought into fruition. So if I'm coming from divinity, I'm promoting divinity. I'll pause there.
I feel like when you said that, what came up for me is that if you're in the ego perspective, the question is, why is this happening to me? But if you're in the divine perspective, the question is, why is this happening for me?
Yes. Now, the ego can also use the question, uh, why is this happening for me? And use it to build itself up a bigger construct to make itself look better. So the ego is infinitely creative and insane, and it can use the exact same things that the soul would use and flip it and use it to um, use it for control and use it for manipulation. So it's a yes and.
Whoa. Yeah, that makes sense. But then I'm wondering, like, in that circumstance, how do you get to the root of where the question is coming from? Like, how do you define that line between ego and divine? That's something that I'm asking myself all the time as I'm thinking about, like, is this coming from my intuition or is this coming from my ego? Because sometimes, like, as my ego gets wiser, the two can be so similar. Is it a frequency? Like, how do you get to the difference there when it's really nuanced, when it's really subtle?
Um, and it's really simple also. How I construct the ego is with four components, and I shared them in the beginning, but I'll speak to them again. These four components is how the ego communicates. So component number one, the ego will be like, hey, my perception is yada, yada, yada. So it'll share a perception that it has. Um, so component number two, the ego will say, well, my experience is yada, 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 whatever it'll say. So it'll use past experience to communicate and identify itself in the present moment. Um, and then the third component is the ego will say, well, my expectation is yada, yada, yada. And expectation and experience are two sides of the same coin. So they could literally be, they're the past and the future. So they could actually be tied together. And then in this case, I am going to tie them together. So I'm going to give component number three. The ego will say, my truth is yada, yada, yada. Well, my truth is not the truth. My truth is an egoic program. And then lastly, the fourth component is the ego will say, well, my opinion is yada, yada, yada. So to use opinion. And so with perception, expectation / experience, my truth, and opinion, those are four components that the ego uses to communicate itself to the world. And so anytime I find myself sharing my experience, sharing my perspective, sharing my truth or my opinion, most of the time it's coming from the ego. And it doesn't need to. The soul can use egoic experience to share something that will actually lift another soul. But simply put, that is a sounding board that I use that I can check in to see, is this coming from ego or is this coming from soul? Joseph, welcome.
Yeah, earlier I caught myself daydreaming, and I was like, oh, recognizing the return to being fully present. That, that was pretty funny. Because that's something I did a lot when I was a kid. So a good example would be my truth. that I used to live in and sometimes still do is I'm shy. And the truth about that statement is that that's just a judgment that people used to cast on me when I was a kid as part of my domestication. And whenever I believed it, uh, I made myself shy and I wouldn't talk to people or open up. I was all bottled up and afraid to express myself. But the truth is, I am the source of harmony, fellowship, and intimacy, and I can create beautiful, loving connections anywhere and everywhere I go.
What is your, how do you know that that's the truth?
Because I can choose it and I can allow it and receive it. And if I'm not resisting it, then I can easily see that that is the truth. It's just that judgment, that false belief about myself, that state is what was keeping me from experiencing the state that I wanted because I was believing it about myself. I was lying to myself. I would even feel resistant sometimes when people would say things about me, like, "Oh, he's ornery, he's spoiled rotten, he's shy." When I was a kid, I'd be like, "What? No, I'm not." But after a while, you just get kind of beaten down. It's like, well, I guess that's true. I guess I'll play this character if that's what you want me to be.
And that the phenomena you just described is most of humanity on the planet right now.
Yeah. Great job. We're really good at surviving. Now we get to break through the. Now we get to let go and break through to thriving.
Hallelujah.
So I think it's also that there's like a limiting kind of energy, like when you're talking about how people labeled you or you labeled yourself as shy. That's a limited perspective versus an expansive. That was like the difference between those two statements, and then just uh, feeling, yeah, like that the question also could be like, is this coming from love, is this coming from judgment, or from like the tiny perspective of the ego versus the limited scope of the divine soul. And so I think that it's helping, just all this conversation is helping also me think of this in the context of my own life. When these situations arise, how will I differentiate? How can I feel into it and differentiate between the ego and the soul? So thank you for all of that.
You're welcome. Gosh, if only I could have told my 6-year-old self that.
Mhm. Yes. Are you still able to hear audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, both the cameras are out now, but I can still
Yeah.
hear you.
Yep.
I'm aware. This is a conversation of change that is literal. So that actually is also occurring all the time. So we have our internal being, and that is translated to the physical reality. So um, whatever whatever resistance I have, things will show up in physicality that will demonstrate what I'm resisting for me to let go of it. Uh, and so if I'm needing things to be perfect, which is like attachment, uh, then things will occur in physical reality that are definitely perceived as imperfect for me to let go of this attachment to perfection. And I'm speaking to this because what I'm like experiencing in my ego right now is like this need for there to be cameras functioning, and so they're actually not functioning, and it's so perfect, it's so divine. Like uh, the Creator God is so purposeful that there is nothing by accident. Everything is by intention. And I believe this, and I see it unfold moment by moment. And for me, it transcends belief, actually. For me, it's a knowing that's so deep in my soul that it's to the degree like I don't even question it anymore. Like it's like a knowing that this is divine. And from there, change is so simple. It's so easy. It's so fulfilling. It's actually gratifying. Uh, and and it's something to fall in love with. It's something to uh, stay up late at night anticipating, and it's something to wake up early the next day, inspired to go into the day to experience the change that is to occur during this day, moment by moment, because I know with every part of my being that the change that is happening is divine, and it's an up level to me, and it's an up level to my environment, and it's an up level to conversations that are happening that I'm having. And as a byproduct of this, like just like full on inspiration of going into the day, as a byproduct of that, uh, this becomes and is actual physical reality.
I feel that shift, like especially when you're talking about going to bed, like staying up in anticipation of it and waking up feeling inspired by it. It's that idea really to me of this blank slate over and over and over again that maybe like the ego part of you doesn't like because they don't have control on how the palette or on how the canvas is painted, but that if you can connect with the I am, that blank slate is such a beautiful opportunity to create a masterpiece over and over again in every moment. Everything that is happening, everything that is coming, even if you can't see it, you can trust that there's this divine energy interwoven within it, and that the ultimate creation that comes from it is just going to be even more beautiful than your limited ego, your limited perception, your limited mind could ever fathom. And that is, yeah, that's so inspiring and juicy and delicious. I love it. And we see you again.
For now. um, have you ever like had like a really messy room? Who here has had a messy room?
Oh, I
Have
do
you?
right now.
And then have you? then have you gone into that messy room and cleaned it up? Who's done that?
Sometimes.
All right, so that's a big switch, and so uh, it's a switch from like being how in my perception it's like chaos and then order, and that's change and that's transition, and uh, I think. I'm like I used to be like the biggest resistor of chaos like ever on the planet, and that's my ego being all fucking significant, saying like I can be the biggest resistor of chaos because who knows? I think there's probably other people that resist it, but my point is that uh, I think chaos and order exist in reality. They exist in third dimension here, and it's an aspect of duality. And when coming from the truth, and so here's how I see the truth. The truth is that we're all one. We're infinitely connected. And that connective tissue, that fascia, that is interconnecting us all and flowing through everything is love energy. That's the connector. And it's specifically unconditional love. And so when I'm coming from the truth, when I'm coming from oneness and unconditional love, it is from that place that you transcend duality and you transcend the egoic perspective. See, the truth transcends all perception. The truth is pure discernment. It's like, this is what is, and this is what isn't. And it's not my perception that this is what is. The truth is discernment. It's you can argue with it, but to argue with the truth is insanity. And so in the 3D, in this physical world that we live in, we're only experiencing it as the 3D physical world because of where we're coming from. And we can see it. There's a man that walked on this planet that was fully man and fully God, and his name was Jesus. And Jesus lived in the world but wasn't of the world. And that's what I'm talking about where we're coming from. If we're coming from, hey, like I'm just this physical body, then we're going to have a 3D reality experience. But if I'm coming from, hey, I'm source, I'm a soul that is infinitely connected, I'm one with all of creation, then my reality, the reality that I experience, literally, while some people are having a 3D reality experience, I'm having a movement through time that in time looks linear, but in truth is nothing is changing actually internally. Things are only changing in time. So I think I kind of conveyed what I intended to, but I don't know exactly how that landed. But yeah, I'll pause there.
Nothing is changing internally, everything is changing in time. Because time is a construct of the 3D reality change. And I'm getting it, but it's like all jumbled up in here. So I was just going to try to start talking and seeing what came out. But I think also the way you were saying like chaos and order are just aspects of duality. It's like we're trying to find all these ways to define, to control, to create these structures that really are only creating more resistance. And that the reality is that if we can just surrender, just let everything be and remember who we are, peel back the layers of conditioning, the stories, the false identities, and connect with the I am, that everything's perfect and there's no need to fear or resist what is. Everything is happening all at one time. Like it's this weird kind of thing where like everything is still and everything is changing and it's all like swirling together and you're just right in the center of it, accepting it. And I don't know if that made any sense, but that's kind of how it feels to me based on what you just said.
And that what you just spoke to is natural balance.
Okay.
Natural balance is it's a global movement that's expressing through the hearts and minds of the people, but it's natural because it's our divine nature. And in duality, natural balance expresses itself through giving and receiving. There are two sides of the same coin. But in truth, uh, we're we're just we're giving and receiving, but it's just happening, and it's happening through what? Surrender. And surrender to what? Surrender to the present moment, and surrender to what is, and surrender to the truth that everything actually is perfect right now.
Without that surrender and my ideal self interfacing with my life, there cannot be this infinite flow at all. Here's Zan saying everything happening at the same time. I can't quote quantum physics, but I think you've touched on a basic physical law of the universe there too. You can't isolate change. You can't isolate a single observation. When it comes down to the atomic level, is how I remember that law. And I may pay attention more to physical laws than God's laws. Because I come from domestication as a technical and engineer type. And I based my ego on that structure, on those skills. And I am a wise old ego right now. And to contend with the wisdom I have gained in my ego self over these years gives me some grace in my pace of transformation. And I can actually smile about that. And I thank you, Neal, for reminding us all is perfect and this is not our life.
You're welcome. And you touched on something with law, like there's man-made law, and then natural balance is divine law. Divine law is the truth. It's discernment. It's how reality operates. It's how reality functions. That's natural balance, and that's divine law. It's God's original intent of operations. And I can say that, hey, that's actually not how it works. But if God wrote it, if it is divine law, me saying it doesn't work doesn't change the operating system. It only is changing my perception of the operating system. And a lot of people right now are so caught up in man-made law that they've abandoned divine law and of how things actually operate. And that's why there is darkness in the world. But we're in 2025 right now. Welcome, you made it. 2025, yeah. Uh, Now, with the year 2025, we're in a new year, but we're also in a new era. This new era is an era of increased light and love energy on planet Earth. And it's amping up right now, and it is at a degree because there's more light and love energy on the planet. What can be observed is the obviousness of the darkness that's on the planet. As the it's like the darkness is being spotlighted by the increased light. And before, we've, as humanity, been able to ignore the darkness or just look away from it and go about our lives, but that's over. Now we're looking right at it, and it's time to make a decision. And the decision is to continue being in this mind matrix, to continue being in the programming, to continue being in the lies and in the illusions, which translates to physically to cities, specifically to smart cities, which are SMART is an acronym for Surveillance, Monitoring, Analysis, Reporting, Technology Cities. That's a mouthful, but yeah. That's legitimate. Yeah, you can Google smart cities acronym and look this up. The choice is: are you now choosing to stay in the mind matrix and the physical matrix of these cities with fake food, or are you choosing what? The truth. Are you choosing love? Are you choosing light? Are you taking a step from your soul? Are you standing there with arms open and heart wide open, and embracing the world, and embracing yourself, and embracing other people, and embracing your divinity? And this is the time now where every single human is making that choice. Apparently that was relevant, but I'm going to pause here. And what is happening now is that we're, as a group here in Natural Balance Masterclass, transitioning from being in a feminine flow environment to being in a masculine channel environment. And that transition is happening, it's happened right now. So what this now looks like is it's a time to give an offer. And if you feel so called, and if you hear something that sings to your soul, that sings to your heart, that you feel would be a contribution to you and other people, it's also a time to receive an offer. Each person here has an opportunity to have 2 minutes each and to share an offer, to open up your heart, settle in, and be like, all right, so this is something that I have that I can express and I can share. And this offer, have it include what it is, so like a name. Have it include a minimum donation amount, so somebody can give you a contribution. Have it include a time of when it's going to happen. And then fourthly, have it include a location as well. And then one last thing I'll speak to is that with this giving of the offer, think of it like before you speak, something isn't, and then after you speak, something becomes available that is something that can literally transform somebody else's life and open up an opportunity that now is available just in the hearing of your offer. So I'll pause there, and I invite you to feel into your heart, and who would like to share an offer first?
I I am not totally sure that I understand, but I want to just do it anyway. Is
Awesome.
it okay?
Welcome, Zan. Uh, so I'll just briefly speak to uh, what encapsulates the offer. So a name, minimum donation amount, a time, and a location.
Okay. And this
All
is
right.
like something that I can offer.
This can be a product or a service.
Okay, 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 okay.
So just take a moment right now, take a deep breath in, and just let it all go. So you have 2 minutes. Feel your heart and let it rip when you're ready.
Okay. I want to offer a space for daydreaming because I believe that while we are so concentrated and fixated on what's realistic and afraid of expanding our imaginations and thinking about what's possible, we'll never get to what's possible. And so I want to create a space for people to step into their imaginations and get back to that space of being able to dream like we did when we were little kids, when we were uninhibited, when we believed that our lives could look like anything, when we believed that anything was possible. And I'm envisioning this in the context of a tea party, a date, let's see, daydream tea party. Daydream tea party. That's the name of it. And we'll sip our tea. It'll be an herbal blend of things that make you feel creative and loose and expansive. And while we sip our tea, we'll just connect with our inner children and we'll talk about the things we used to dream about. And we'll do some sort of a craft because that's really fun. Maybe it'll be finger painting or something like that. And the price point would be $25 a person. The location, hmm. Well, I'm in Dallas, Texas, and so I'm imagining it at, I have this park that I really love. It's called Reverchon Park. In the springtime, when the weather's nicer, and uh, the date, well, that's springtime, so let's call it like mid-April, because the weather would probably be perfect right about then. And I think that's it. And I don't know how that was time-wise, but
Nice. Yeah, great. Um, uh, I got a question.
yes.
So this is a in-person event.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. I mean, well, I guess it doesn't have to be, but I kind of envisioned it as in person.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Uh, Rob or Joseph, are you feeling an offer?
First, I was thinking the store is completely closed in my mind and my
Hmm.
heart.
Well, you have a mic, so are you going to give an offer?
Yeah, I'm opening the store.
Great. All right. So you have 2 minutes to just take a deep breath. You got the offer door open now. Let it all go. Feel your heart, and then as you're ready, let it rip.
Well, here's the offer. Online potential of good old game time. And we're all going to go back to those goofy games we played when we were just kids goofing around. I'll never forget mine, and I bet you didn't forget yours. And thinking that with our creativity, we can find a way to come together over snacks and get that game board out. And I'm going to be rolling the dice with you. This future fun from the past, take it into the future fun. So, what did I say? Good old game time online. The kids are back. And I think for starts, $10 is your way into this fun house. And now I think I'm going to look around the neighborhood here and maybe get a starter game that was a goofy one of mine, and it'd take about a week to invite people back for good old game time.
Nice. Do you have a date?
Yeah, I'm looking at a week from today.
All right. Wednesday.
Around,
Wednesday in a week. What time?
I think we'd have as much fun at 2 o'clock as any. I might change that to evening hours, depending on participation level. There's kids out there.
Nice. So 2 o'clock p.m. This following Wednesday.
You heard it here, 2 o'clock next Wednesday. Right
Awesome.
here.
And one more thing, if it is virtual, or even if it's a physical event, how do people reach out to you? If I want to take your offer, I get it, I'm here physically, but like if someone's online and they want to receive your offer, Rob, how do they access you? Like an email or a phone number, or how does that work?
Appreciate that. Email will be provided. Not sure how distribution goes, but that's the best.
Nice. With all these offers, I'll be putting there will be a video replay. In that video replay, all of these offers will be in the description of the video. And it'll be posted on the Signal chat, so you'll be able to access it and share this video with friends and family. And so, Zan, do you have contact information for people to reach out to you?
Uh, yeah, just provided here, I guess. It's
Yes.
email is probably best. It's Ali, A-L-I, Stofko, Stofko @gmail.com. And I think I understand a little bit better what this offer is all about. I'm leaving mine as it is for now, but if this is something that potentially happens on these calls, I think it solidified a little bit more for me having this in person in Dallas isn't entirely accessible to people who might be watching this. But yeah, thank you, Rob, for yours. That's amazing. I love it.
It's a yes and because some people online may be actually near in your area. Physical events are valid. Like uh, I I promoted a physical event where that was here in Costa Rica, but I promoted it online. So yeah, they're both valid. Joseph, I see your hand up. Welcome. Feel your heart. Take I don't know, 5, 10, 20 seconds, whatever you need to be in the zone. And as you're ready, you have 2 minutes and let it rip.
All right. So, who here has ever procrastinated on doing something really important? All right. And who here has ever had a lot of things to do, some that were important, some not so important? Um, but rather than face the mountain of stuff that you need to get done, you just choose whichever distraction is the easiest to just sink your time into, and you did that instead. All right. Well, I've definitely been there, and I'm very, very familiar with uh, that state. So my offer is my course um, on overcoming procrastination. So from going from being a master procrastinator to a massive action taker. And so the course itself is $333 if you want to get the whole thing. But at the very least, I want to invite everyone. If you have a hard time getting things done within the time that you're awake and you can be productive, go to schedule.bridgebucks.info. I'll put the link down below, and you can get my lead magnet. It's a tool that I invented, and it'll show you how to schedule your time and journal about what you actually get done. And you can pretty much take control of your entire day by doing that. So I want to invite you to go and get that for free and use it. And if it's helpful to you and you feel called, then you can get the full course. And when you go through it, feel free to reach out to me and give me any feedback you have so that I can know what's needed to make it even better. And I'll also put my phone number and email in there as well. If you want to get like a one-on-one session, you can get that for $35.
Amazing. Thank you, Joseph.
Well,
All right. So, who here has experienced more love in your heart since being at this masterclass? Uh, who here would love to uh, get an offer together and share this offer to the world? Uh, who here is looking to come from a place that is divine in nature? Well, welcome. You're at the right place at the right time. I'm inviting you to join, virtually or physically, Natural Balance Masterclass. If you're in Costa Rica, you can join physically. You can come literally be here in person and interact live. If you're somewhere else in the world, you can join virtually. And so I invite you, Natural Balance Masterclass. It's happening every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. This is a free masterclass. So the value is who? It's you. You're the value. And this is where our gifts come in. This is where this giving and receiving comes in. And so I invite you to join me this upcoming Wednesday at Natural Balance Masterclass. So that's one offer, and I'll include my email. If you want the Zoom link sent to you via email, just send me the words natural balance and I can get you the direct Zoom link. And then in addition, if you're on Earth Waking Virtual Village, in the events tab section, you'll find the direct Zoom link to Natural Balance Masterclass on Earth Waking Virtual Village. Now that being said, who here has a love for nature in your hearts? Who here has ever ate something and then ate something else and then noticed that you feel differently depending on what you eat? So I'm inviting you for 1 hour to get on a virtual call with me. And the minimum donation to join this virtual call is $111. And during this call, my greatest passion and interest is permaculture and seeing how different plants interact with each other and how they can have a coherent interdependent system where all plants thrive in one environment. And seeing then how we as humans interact with that environment. And so my invitation to you is to join me for 1 hour and communicate on plants, on their uses, on their effects on the body, on what best grows in your area, and really going deep into the health of our body and our mind and our soul, looking at it through the natural world. So I'll put my information in the description. I am calling this natural expression is what this offer is called. So you're invited, and with that, we've come to the conclusion of Natural Balance Masterclass. I love you. Your time has infinite value. Nobody can put a price tag on your time. Time is actually something that it is something that we have. And so I thank you so much for being here and investing your time. And with that, we did it. We're complete. Peace.